All right, welcome back, everyone. So, final run of the night. We've got BloodThunder, an absolutely ridiculous prolific runner. BT does a ton of runs. He's really good at all of them. I ran a few things with him for a while, and his skill is absolutely off the charts. So I'm really glad we got him here to showcase BioShock Infinite. So take it away.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Shout out to the KPC for doing awesome runs on those first two games. I've been relearning those runs in preparation of doing just more BioShock content in general, and he made those look really, really easy, especially the BioShock 2 one. So if you like those runs, give him a follow, because he's a beast. But this run's going to be a little different. We don't have those wall clips. We do have some other wall clips and a whole bunch of other shenanigans. So much like the setting's very different, we're no longer in Rapture, which we'll talk about. So much time to talk about stuff. The run is also filled with a whole bunch of different tricks, which are really cool. And we'll hop into the game here. Fun fact about this little intro, we will be running through this part of the game here in just a moment. The run is done on easy for various reasons. We have a lot of time to talk about all this stuff, so I hope you guys like some lore dumps. We'll, see how Amy's day is going so far, all that good stuff. And time will start in 3, 2, 1, go. So this stuff here is just saying I have like the DLCs and the extra stuff, which provide items that the run will use once we get past the first couple levels here. But we're going to start off Infinite, taking a little boat ride out to a lighthouse so that we can go down into Rapture. I mean, up into the sky into Columbia, which is always a fun time. People either love this game, or they despise it with a passion. So I'm sure in chat we'll see both of those fronts. But if you guys don't know me, I'm BloodThunder. I run BioShock Infinite. I run the entire BioShock series, including the DLCs. You might have seen Wolfenstein, Dishonored, Penumbra, a whole bunch of different games over past GDQs. So might be a familiar face to some of you. If not, then, nice to meet you. Hope you're having a great Tuesday. Hope you had a great Halloween. Got plenty of candy, all that fun stuff, The two in the boat with us are the Lutece twins that we don't know about yet, but they become very important to the story later on. While we just sit here and do nothing, they do all the work. It's great. That's how I like my speedruns, doing no work at all.
No time loss.
You also might notice a little icon in the top left corner of the screen, a little hat icon with the plus. That means we are running the Hill Runner's Hat mod, which is a community-allowed modification for the game that's going to give us a certain item later on, because otherwise it becomes a grind fest. You go 30 minutes into the run, then you grind out for a 1 in 52 drop, and that can take like 30 minutes alone to grind out. So instead of going through all that madness, we just we use this to bypass that and make the run so much more fun, because the Hill Runner's Hat is very, very important. So this is Lighthouse. A big thing you'll notice compared to BioShock 1 and 2, we can actually just sprint in this game. We don't have to walk around or drill dash, which is really nice. Booker is a little fast. I'm just going to run all the way up here, putting our little door code. 122. And then the lighthouse is going to start freaking out. We got a little wait time here, Can look out at this beautiful view. I don't know what cities those are supposed to be over there, but, Definitely not waking them up at all. Definitely not.
Yeah, I'm always surprised that nobody ever sees this. It's like, that's kind of weird. Check that out.
Yeah, everyone's just staying inside. They're like, nah, that just happens every now and then, So this magical lighthouse is just going to open up for us and has a nice comfy chair. So once again, we just want to sit back and not really do a whole lot in this run. So we're just going to hop on in. One on up. Much like the intro to BioShock 1 is very iconic for certain people, the intro for this one, and this scene in particular, is very iconic as well. Kind of a mirror image of the first game.
Ascension in the count of 5. Count of 4. 3.
I always wondered why it tips you down at the beginning to make you lose your pistol. Like,
Ascension.
yeah, to make you lose your pistol, but it seems like a bad idea to tip it down.
I think the technical explanation is that the rockets suck the air out so it gets depressurized. I think, but I'm not a rocket scientist, so.
Hallelujah.
You know what? I'll believe that.
You know what? I am a rocket scientist. Let's just all believe that. Yeah, this is the city of Columbia. It is a city in the sky. Ridiculous, I know. Taking our little trip down. Everything's so peaceful. How could anything ever go wrong here? Yeah, Columbia is just a bunch of floating platforms that kind of interweave and connect up in different ways. So it's kind of amazing we ever get where we need to go in this run. Things just line up perfectly for us to get there, despite not knowing how the stuff moves around at all. And as terrifying as Rapture is as a city, like if something goes wrong, it's just a nightmare for Rapture because it's under the water and all those people suffer. If one of the buildings or floating islands fall in Columbia, it's bad news for everybody. It's terrifying.
Yeah, I wonder what they're like. Obviously, they did not think very much about it, but what was their plan if they ever had a building start to fall?
Just let it go at this point. See, people are asking in the pre-recorded chat if I can see chat. I can. I saw it ahead of time when it was pre-recorded. Oh wait, I'm probably not supposed to talk about that. Or about how I'm using an aimbot. Oh no. Oh no, I messed up.
It's fine. I slipped you the good aimbot, so people will be very impressed.
Yeah, I saw you gave KPC the bad one, so
yeah,
I was kind of worried. It's got a nice little introduction into Columbia here. We're just gonna start running. You might see me jump from time to time. If you're in like water or something, it's a little faster to jump. It's not really worth it, but when you're used to just running through a map a whole bunch, running forward can get a little boring. So I just like to add in some jumps every now and then. Also running a lot of games that have bunny hops, so sometimes I like to pretend like I'm bunny hopping and going faster.
Is it someone new? Someone from the southern below?
So we're about to get baptized. He's going to wash away our sins. The whole premise and setup of this game is that Booker has gotten himself into a lot of gambling debt, and in order to wipe away that debt, he is sent on this task to Columbia to get a girl and bring it back to whoever he owes the debt to. So the saying is, bring us the girl, wipe away the debt. So we're coming here to look for her and then get out afterwards. I'd say if you want to remain spoiler free, we skip some, but not all spoilers in this. So yeah, a little worry. Also, he's just completely drawn us here, and every now and then we get these little flashbacks in Booker's head, like this one. This is his office. This is someone to collect the debts. Just kind of reestablishing the fact that you owe money. So now we are in Columbia proper. We can run around and do all of this fun stuff and possibly do some skips here. Just going to run past all these guys. So you may have heard me mention it at the very start, right before we actually began the run, that we're going to run through the main menu part. And that's actually right up here if you've never been aware of that. So that street right there where that little pig is on the corner is where the game menu begins, which is kind of a cool little Easter egg if you're paying attention to it. Do a couple jumps to just get through this map a little faster. So yeah, this street right here is the main menu. You can see the kids playing in the water, as they do. Grab some snacks. I'm going to try to do a little wall clip. This one's a little tricky. Let's see. So if you have high enough FPS, you can kind of like just scooch your way through certain walls and collision. So the game's nice to us. This is probably the hardest one to do. We get past the parade early and can just run on.
Columbia Raffle and Fair.
Why you're able to just walk through wall or like slide through walls essentially, I don't know, but it's really nice. Yeah, this game unfortunately does have some high FPS requirements for the speedrun. There's a trick later on that requires about 350. And it's hard for a lot of runners to get up that high, even on lowest settings and with a beefy PC. We'll see how things go.
DeWitt, stop. Do not alert.
I don't think I ever learned any of the like super high FPS tricks when I was learning this run.
Yeah, there's like alternatives for a lot of them, and they don't save a whole bunch of time, but they are nice to do.
Yeah.
Also, this is the best salesman in the world. He's just so much fun to listen to. He's so believable. Okay, so we're going to do what is known as the raffle skip. The raffle's where everything kind of takes a dark turn, and you realize this place is not paradise, as it kind of claims to be. But we're not going to go over there, so we're not going to ever see that. So we can just jump on some stuff, and out of bounds we are. This game does have some crazy stuff. It's not the same as BioShock 1 and 2, but if you thought this was going to be dev intended, you were mistaken. Yeah, that skips the entire raffle section. There's a lot of like references and callbacks to that part, but it just won't make sense because we never went there. A little fireworks show. Now we're going into the blue ribbon, which because we have DLC installed and like a pre-order bonus or something, I don't remember exactly what it comes from. We get all of this special stuff here. So we get a whole bunch of infusions, which are going to give us salts. You can either pick health, shields, or salt whenever you get one of these. We just get kind of buffed up here at the beginning. Salt is by far the most useful. It's the only one we're going to pick up. We're going to get some money and 2 gear. We're going to get Fleet Feet and Sugar Rush. Those are going to help us run faster. Sugar Rush, anytime we eat or drink like a snack, like a hot dog or something, we get a little speed boost. And Fleet Feet, you know, honestly, I don't even remember what it does. It's been a while since I've read it. It is something useful. Also, we never went to the raffle, so we never got the skyhook, but the game's just like, all right, you went past the raffle, here you go. You can have it now, which is kind of useful. Otherwise, we'd get soft locked. So you do need it later on.
Yeah. And the reason you're wiggling your mouse around when you're on the skyhooks is just because it's so you can hook shot to the next one faster.
Yeah, it's something I never remember to talk about because it's just second nature at this point. Anytime you get on a hook or a skyline, there's a brief moment where you kind of like shake on top of it as the game's like telling you that you've hit it. It's kind of a weird thing to do. But if you wiggle your mouse before you actually land on top of it, you can like jump off right away. It just kind of skips like a stun animation essentially.
It's surprisingly noticeable too. Like it's not an insignificant thing.
Yeah, if I don't wiggle my mouse just subconsciously and it happens, then I'm like, oh wow, I actually just messed that up there. So we're just running through some maps. We're gonna pick up another salt infusion here. The reason we don't want health or shields because they're actually gonna hurt us if we pick them up. We are gonna do some death warps later. We want to actually die, and so having shields or health, it just makes that take longer and harder to set up. And salt is what powers our infusions. Not like Eve in BioShock 1 and 2. It's completely different. It's, you know, nothing like that at all. It's salt.
Why do you do this? I just want to go back to my family.
Yeah, it's really useful to have a ton of salt here because we're going to use infusions all over the place. It's a real struggle not to call them plasmids. But, you know, sometimes I remember. Psycho likes to spawn behind you. You just set it up so he dies whenever he
What's this?
Tries to sneak attack you. We're going to leave Murder Crows there. Because anytime you pick up a... Here, I can show off the...
That station.
Oh, I still keep flicking my mouse. Let's see. There's just like a small little stun animation. Anytime you pick up an infusion, there's a little cutscene explaining what it is and how to use it. If you pick it up the second or any other time it presents it to you, then it doesn't matter. You just pick it up and you have it. So we will get Murder of Crows later on. It's not super useful, but it's still something. Sky rails are fast to be on, but it's even faster if you can just like jump to one far away and not fall off. So even though we're like zooming around on these bad boys, if you can shortcut parts of it, it's usually better too. There's a kind of tricky trick here. Requires precise timing with this cargo. We did not get it. Okay. So if you time that just right, you kind of get stuck in the cargo box, and it boosts you all the way up here, and you can get on the ship before it comes in, which is kind of cool, but not the biggest time save. We can just go around. So these zoom real fast.
Yeah, that was always
the whole
one of the hardest
objective
tricks for me to learn.
Yeah, that one. You have to really get that timing down, and if you're not super in practice, it can be quite tricky. The whole objective at the moment is to, once again, find the girl, and she is in the Monument Island, or the Monument Tower. So we're just making our way through Columbia over there. This is the Prophet. This is Comstock. He is Elizabeth, the girl's dad. He does not like us being here. He's supposed to be a prophet and see into the future, and he's like, "You're bad news." So I'm going to send people to kill you. All these people that could kill me, but they won't. So we're going to get on the ship here in just a second. And throw some traps over there. A little early. Let's throw one more. This isn't a super useful trick, or it makes things too much faster, but it can help.
As blood is yours. Do you know why these men will die for me? Because I have seen their future in the glory, and hence they are content. What brought you to Columbia, Booker? Bring us the girl and wipe away the debt?
The fun fact about this little Zeppelin, this is actually a cutscene that you can replace in the files. So if you just like want to throw something random there, a lot of people have done it. I've seen like the Friends intro be placed on top of this. A whole bunch of fun stuff you can do. Yeah, when you're running a game a whole bunch and you got to sit through a little elevator ride, you have a little fun with the game every now and then.
Knowing your history with it, I'm surprised you didn't do that.
I thought about it, but I just didn't feel like doing it.
That's fair.
You do it too many times and people get a little bored.
People start expecting it. You gotta mix it up.
I'm sure I can get this thing going.
The Lord forgives everything. But I'm just a prophet. So I don't have to. Amen.
I love almonds. Almonds are so good. All right, let's keep on running through. This Zeppelin's getting destroyed, and we're just gonna bail on out. A fun fact about these sky rails, if you've never paid attention, if you look at them, you actually just see through them. It's like a little game design thing. You would never notice unless you were specifically looking for it. I don't think you're supposed to be able to see through those, but it's a nice little touch.
Monument Island.
All right, made it to the island. We need to climb the tower. Unfortunately, this whole place is under quarantine, which, I don't know anything about quarantine, but it sounds really bad. Get some beans. It might look like I'm just stopping to loot like random stuff, but all of these beans and stuff along the way, they give me the sugar rush effect, so we get a little speed boost every time I do that. So even if you don't find like a random trash can full of hot dogs and whatever, it's still worth checking just to see if you get a little speed boost. If you haven't been able to tell past the BioShock 1 and BioShock 2 run, BioShock series love their elevators. There are so many elevators. It is quite ridiculous. But once we go in here, we can grab some snacks, watch a little movie, some popcorn and coffee. Now we have found the girl.
So, game over. You did it, right?
Yep, that's
Easy.
it. That's all it takes. Is this the part of the pre-recorded chat where everyone uses their Prime Gaming? I see one did it. I thought that was going to happen in like 5 minutes from now, but it's starting early, you know. Cool. So we actually get two little cutscenes of Elizabeth here. She just happens to be running to the right place at the right time. I always love the drawings of Songbird here in the background. This is the gaming's biggest plot hole, literally.
But that she just doesn't leave.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't leave, but also the fact that she can open a rift inside the tower where she's supposed to be at her weakest, yet can't do it when she's outside the tower. It's really weird. I know a lot of people love this story and the twists that come near the end, but there are a lot of problems with it, I'm just going to say. If you think about it, and any story that really has the mechanics and of the twists that this does without giving it away, will have those problems, obviously.
I can do this.
Hey, we're going to just keep climbing. And we'll get our first little interaction with Elizabeth proper.
My name is DeWitt. I'm a friend. I come to get you out of here.
Get away!
To answer Squid's question in chat about the infusions we pick up along the way, there is one that we have to pick up out of necessity on the first go, which will be Shock Jockey.
You've gotta go.
It's really hard to keep track of what they're called in each game. Because even between BioShock 1 and 2, things change names in terms of plasmids. Like you have Target Dummy that becomes Decoy.
That's enough.
It's just a whole mess. But yes, Shock Jockey we do have to pick up on the first go. Just
Give it to me.
that's how the progression goes. It's very reminiscent of the splicer surfing KPC did. Unfortunately, we don't have anything to kill Elizabeth, so we can
There's a way out.
take her body and clip through walls. Maybe one day. All right, well, we saved Elizabeth, but now we need to escape because she has a pet bird that really doesn't like us being here. His name is Songbird. He's a cutie.
Who are you?
He's also really loud.
This way, come on!
So we find out later that this tower is a siphon for Elizabeth's magic powers that we saw her use. Open a portal to Paris. So it's not really a great thing that Songbird himself is attacking the thing keeping her contained, both literally and, I guess, also literally.
All this time. Why?
Yeah, this is the part where Elizabeth finds out she's been watched her whole life, which is honestly pretty creepy.
You're the girl who's getting out of this tower.
There he is.
Big metal friend.
This way.
Oh yeah, who doesn't want a big metal friend? Like maybe if your dad was like a giant metal creature, that'd be pretty cool. Also, this is the best song in all of gaming. It's called the Bonk Bonk song. It just goes bonk 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 bonk. Every runner loves this track so much. So our plan at the moment is to run to the very top of the tower, which seems like a really bad plan because there's just no escape once you get up there. But, you know, Booker is not a very smart man, as you come to realize over time. Whee! And this part is literally on rails, so we just sit back and listen to the great song.
I like that during this part, canonically, he's like strong enough to hold on to this, 50-mile-an-hour rail with one hand and Elizabeth with the other.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big problem lore-wise with the skyhook of like not ripping your shoulder off completely.
Yeah.
Anytime you jump on and off, I don't know. Video games, right?
Exactly. Video games.
Gonna survive a nice little dive into the water. However, Songbird cannot. The DLC is easy / fun to speedrun. It depends on the DLC. No one speedruns the, I don't even remember, it's called Battle Clash in the Clouds. It's like an Arena Fighter DLC. But Barrel at Sea 1 and 2, the like prequels DLC to this, back in Rapture, have some moments. There's also a very long cutscene in Burial at Sea Part 2. I think Burial at Sea Part 2 is a 45-ish minute run with 30 minutes of cutscenes.
Nice.
So it was a good one to throw in there. So somehow we survived. Ignore Elizabeth just kind of glitching in and out here. She likes to do that.
It's me, Elizabeth. You all right?
Where am I?
Back in the land of the living.
So that's basically the entire intro to the speedrun. This is where things get a whole lot more fun. I mentioned at the beginning about the Hill Runner's hat that we need to collect. We're going to pick that up in this part of the game. And then we can start zooming around.
Go on. Sit down.
Okay, I won't be long. I won't be long, Mr. DeWitt.
And she never came back.
Where is she?
We're on this lovely beach and we just got a runaway. Grab a candy bar for fun.
Blue skirt? No? Airship.
Luckily, Elizabeth isn't too far away. We don't have to go multiple maps to find her. Just next section over here.
Hey,
And she's having fun dancing. You know? Whenever you break out of jail, the first thing you want to do is dance.
Miss Elizabeth.
Pretty iconic scene, all things considered.
Oh, yeah.
I don't dance. Come on, let's go.
I just like looking at the people in the background clapping.
Yeah.
How about Paris?
Paris? I don't understand. How could we get there?
That's where that airship's going, but if you want to stay...
This is where Booker tricks Elizabeth into following. It's like, oh, yeah, I'll help you get to Paris. That's definitely what I came here to do. Knowing that he wants to take her back to New York so that he can clear his gambling debt. He's a great man.
Mr. DeWitt, Comstock. I've read about him.
It's coming up as a pretty nice skip. It's not huge in terms of time saves, but it's going to get us past the first Lutece interaction here, where you choose either the
Mr. DeWitt, here. Come look
bird necklace or the cage.
Or perhaps the bird.
Nothing beats the cage.
Just going to, hopefully, hit this at the right spot. It's a little bit tricky. There we go. Hitting that just the right corner pushes us up on top, and then we can just run past.
Yeah, that jump is so hard.
It's definitely one. Yeah, a lot of new runners struggle with that one. Because you have to hit it kind of like not on the corner, but to the side, and it's an awkward thing to learn, but really isn't too bad. And once we get past that, we're gonna run up here, and this is normally where you would grind out for the Hill Runner's hats, but because we are using that handy dandy Hill Runner's hat mod, we just get to pick it up right here for free. And this means anytime we break our shield, which is that yellow bar in the top left of the game, that we get a huge speed buff, and it really breaks the game. Do a little manipulation with the coin to get Elizabeth over here faster.
Annabelle, it's me, Esther. Oh,
There's not much manipulating Elizabeth in the run. There used to be. Way back in the day, you had to position her just right. Aiming down sights with your gun can move her around, and she'll always like try to spawn behind you if you run too far. You can kind of pull her in different directions depending on what you're doing.
Watch out. I just swapped that.
Other than that, we're just going to run up top.
Have you got sauerkraut?
Try to get us some tickets to the First Lady.
2 tickets for passage to the First Lady airship.
Yeah,
One question always comes up in this game because there's a few options that you're presented with throughout the game. There's like 3 or 4 different sections where it's giving you a 50-50 you can take, and the choices do not matter. Some are just a little bit faster depending on animations playing out or dialogue. So right there we just pull out our gun instead of waiting for him to stab us. The end result's always going to be the same. There's only one ending to this game.
Stay away from me.
So get some supplies. Elizabeth now sees us as a monster, so we killed some people trying to take her back. So she's not too happy. These guards are really nice. They'll break my shield for me. We'll get a nice yellow break. There we go. So that means the Hill Runner's hat's taken effect. Get a little speed boost for like 5 seconds or so.
Get away from me.
And that can actually stack with the Sugar Rush that we picked up way back in the Blue Ribbon. So if you break your shield and you also grab a snack at the same time, you go really, really fast. It's kind of rare for it to happen in the run, just with how things line up, but anytime you get to pull that off for like a couple seconds, you're just the Flash. It's running all over the place. So you're going to notice Elizabeth has some boxes on her hands, because we did that loot test skip with the bird and cage necklaces. She just never gave the boxes back. And so she just kind of steals them.
I don't know. One thing I've learned. If you don't draw first, you don't get to draw at all.
The Hill Runner's hat mod is that we are guaranteed to get the Hill Runner's hat at that box. Otherwise, it's a 1 in 52 drop. And to reset that area, it's about 30 seconds per check if you wanted to just grind it out normally. So back in the day, you used to run up to that point, about 30 minutes into the run, and then just grind that out until you got Hill Runner's hat. And you can legitimately be there for like 30 minutes trying to get it, which is not fun for anybody. And just killed off the run and the community pretty much. So for a funner, more consistent run, that's allowed by the community, which is really cool. Okay.
Yeah, I definitely, I really liked the addition of the HRH mod, because I learned the game both before and after the mod was introduced, and before it was awful. Just,
yeah,
if you
the run
get
has
it, like,
a lot of
third or fourth try, you were like, well, whatever.
Yeah. The run has a lot of really cool tech that revolves heavily on the Hill Runner's hat being a thing. So to like do the run and not get it for 20 minutes at a time, it gets really sad and depressing. You're like, well, I can't keep going because I need this. There's not another place I can check for it. But yeah, now we're in Soldier's Field. Very close to the First Lady, but in order to get there, we have to go up this rail. So we need to turn the power back on, which means we need Shock Jockey.
Should we head to the gondola? Or
Okay, I don't know how I didn't fall off there.
I suppose a place like this
But we can do a fun little trick
why you were
where we get to pretend to be Spider-Man.
No doubt for lockpicking lessons.
Why you?
I never
We can just climb this wall.
I assumed
This wall's at like not a straight angle. It's like slightly tilted. And because of high FPS, you can kind of just like jitter climb the whole way up. It's really weird, but also really cool. So now we're way up in the sky. I mean, we were already way up in the sky in Colombia, but even further up. Drop down.
I'm a independent contractor.
So I'm trying to fall into the next section. There's usually an elevator cutscene that you go through. We got past the first try, so that's Bucking Bronco. We'll get on the way back. Once again, if we pick it up now, we get a cutscene. We don't want that. We just want to get a little quad feed. Yeah, first try there is nice. First try on anything in this game's pretty nice.
Yeah,
we'll take
that skip is like almost semi-blind. Because you have to line up, and then from what I remember, you have to like turn partway through it. Well, you can't see
you run
anything.
off, and then like at a certain point in time, you turn left a little bit, and then you're good. It's another one of those like at first it's kind of tricky to know the angle, but once you've done it enough times, it's not terribly bad. So here we get Murder Crows, skip the cutscene. That was a pretty good fight. The crows are kind of obnoxious to fight from time to time. Also, with these levers, they usually require all of the enemies in the area to be dead. Sometimes the turrets count, sometimes they don't. This one, it doesn't. I think only in one spot it actually counts a turret as an enemy to progress further. We're going up to Hall of Heroes, which is the hardest section of the game. We're also going to pick up the RPG, which is really, really nice for the run, because at the moment in time, we don't really have a way to damage ourselves consistently, which means we can't break our shield and get Hellrunner's hat boost, but now we can. So if we just shoot the ground, we break our shield and get a little speed boost. Have 6 shots. We want to do some death warps. And the way this game works, and it's kind of the same in the first game too, if you get down to 1 HP, you have some invincibility frames for a moment. And then after that, you can die. So you have to kind of time it up. This is the hardest death warp that we have to do. Let's see if that works. So we're just launching our dead body far enough into the next part of the game to hit a trigger that says, oh, this door should be open at this point in time. You get first try on that. That's so good.
Nice.
I can't even explain how difficult that is compared to everything else in this run.
Yeah, Hall of Heroes has like 3 or 4 of those death warps, and
yes.
each one of them is like you have to get really lucky with how far the HRH boosted death warp will throw you into the room.
Yeah, the first one you have to go really far for it to work. The second one you don't want to go too far, but you still have to get through the wall. If you go too far, you soft lock, so you don't sprint past this one. Hopefully there's health here. And then the third one you have to do is much like the first, where you just fling yourself really far, but you don't. If you can do the first one, you can do the third one, is how it goes. That might be too far. So going too far here, like doesn't spawn in certain enemies. We'll double check. I think if you see the text at the bottom, it's too far. And then we soft lock in the end. Yeah, there's no enemies here. Okay. Got the hardest one, can't get the easiest. That's how speedrunning usually goes. But there's also just a checkpoint here, which is really, really nice. The whole Hall of Heroes is supposed to be a whole bunch of fights that you do to just continue onwards. This game is very linear in that nature. It's just do a fight, progress. Do a fight, progress. Should be good on that attempt. Stand in this corner, we can activate the enemies. Okay. So now when we come back through here, we're not going to soft lock. And the whole reason we're doing all of this is so we can go track down Slate, who has our shock jockey. He's destroyed all the other supplies of shock jockey, so he has the only one. And now we need to go through this door right here. We got the pop-up text, though. We definitely got it. That unlocks the door from the other side. And we don't have to go through the whole fight sequence where you learn all about rifts and tears and how Elizabeth uses her powers, which is really obnoxious and takes a long time. So we're going to run down here, activate the trigger down the hallway, which is somewhere back here. There's the lag that we got it. And that's going to spawn in Slate over here, so we can just bypass everything. Hey, there you go. So this is the one that we do have to pick up first try because it's the only shock jockey available to us. There's just no possible way to bypass this, unfortunately. We're going to spare him. Sparing, killing, doesn't really matter. It's just a little faster. Nothing really changes. And we get shock jockey. I've always wanted to know what plasmids and infusion, or I guess infusions, taste like. Plasmids you just inject, but you get at least drink infusions, which seems way nicer than injecting something.
Yeah.
Like, does it taste like medicine? Is it like blue raspberry? I don't know. It could be anything.
I feel like shock jockey specifically cannot be nice to drink because then you grow like crystals out of your hand and that's not fun.
True. It's better than Undertow, which turns you into a squid later on.
Worse.
So I just ran through a gate you might have seen, and that's where you would soft lock if you didn't spawn in those enemies before. Now we have this, we go back to where we did that Spider-Man climb, and we get to make our way up to the First Lady. Well, there's also a lot of enemies in the way, so we're just going to take a safe way back. You feel like risking it. There's a slightly faster way to do this, but it doesn't save a whole lot of time for how much work you got to do. So instead, we're just going to hide back here. The skylines are currently unavailable. So instead of jumping down there and getting on it so you can jump on that skyline later on, we just wait right here. And soon enough, we can jump down. There we go. Explain what soft locking is. It means you cannot progress the game any further, but your game hasn't crashed. So a hard lock, on the other hand, would be like your game crashing or just becoming completely unplayable. Soft locking means you can still play the game, but you can't progress any further. Gonna pick up Bucking Bronco along the way. Get that the second time. It's still in the first spot, but because it's like a different map now, it considers it the second time we've seen it, and there's no cutscene. So this is the elevator we skipped before. There's a scene with a bee or something. It's been a long time since I've seen it. So once again, we're just using the RPG to take damage so we can run faster anytime we need to like run somewhere. We got Shock Jockey, power this bad boy. And now we have to go through a really fun wave fight, but we can get some supplies first. It's always fun to see what's in here. We never really need anything from any of this stuff. Extra money is always nice. You almost always have enough money to buy certain upgrades that you don't really need. They just help the run out significantly in terms of like going for really optimized times. So getting like extra money can be beneficial, but it's not super important. Anything else, health, food, whatever, is just kind of there. A really fun way to deal with enemies in this game is to pick them up with Bucking Bronco and then just knock them off the side of the map, and then they just fall into the void and die. So if you have an enemy that takes a lot of damage, like these Rocketeers, you just knock them overboard, and then they're basically just one-shot dead. I'm just going to come up here, activate this turret, and just chill out on this roof until all the waves are done. So we have to wait for this gondola to come all the way down, and it's super slow, as you can see. Unfortunately, the railings don't have any collision, and we can't like find a way to climb up. We get to look at this nice ice cream sign down here. Yeah. If we stand up here, all the enemies just kind of travel to us and make it really, really easy. It's gonna start stacking them up here. So like they both had money on them, which is nice, but it's not a super big issue. Which is a great thing about the BioShock series in general. Like you never really need supplies to like worry about in a run.
Yeah, like the only speed up you can get for this is, you know, if you just get more Sugar Rush procs, which...
Yeah. A Sugar Rush is also one of those, it's really nice to have, especially if you're going for record or like a really, really tight time, but you can do this entire run without it. The run does require Hellrunner's Hat, but Sugar Rush and like Fleet Feet aren't hard requirements for it.
Yeah. A couple people earlier in chat were asking if people ever do the run without Hellrunner's Hat, and honestly, not really.
It has been done since the mod was implemented, but it's very rare if someone decides to do that. There are like gearless runs where you don't even grind out for the gear at all. You just completely forsake it. People have done those. And I like glitchless would still benefit from it, but not to the same degree. I don't know exactly what they do for glitchless.
Yeah, it's just that Hellrunner's Hat it's such a useful addition to the run that
like all the death warps that we did in Hall of Heroes, the first and third one cannot be done without it. So very important. Gondola is here.
Some help with this.
We're gonna start taking some damage. We can't die immediately after starting to ride the gondola here, but we can once we get like halfway through. There'll be a certain point where instead of warping just where we are, because a lot of times Elizabeth will just spawn you where you died. We'll spawn all the way up there instead. So once they're done talking is the
I'm sorry. I
signal for that.
Where are you from, Mr. DeWitt?
New York.
What did you do there?
Business much like this. Something that really
Get
cares.
to know each other a little bit more.
It's a fine thing you came along when you did.
How do you think I ended up here?
And speaking of getting to know each other, BT, how's your day been? Since we're just
It's been
chilling.
pretty good, you know. Got some candy in the mail, discounted from Amazon, which is great.
Nice.
Worked out a little bit, watched KPC kill BioShock 1 and 2, and now I'm here, so
Yeah.
not too bad.
Thor's doing well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once we're done talking, just do a little death warp and you'll see the gondola is still actually coming up. We're just gonna run past it. Pretty much anytime we can afford to use up health, we're going to use Hellrunner's Hat to just boost past enemies and run through different maps.
Suits me.
How do you figure they'd know?
Either they've got a profit on their side,
I also get one more thing, Assault.
or them that hired me also wrote the sentence.
Going through the whole hassle of picking up this many infusions is overkill, but it just makes everything so much nicer in the end. Especially when you're not going for a great time and just trying to get through it, having 1 or 2 extra infusions is a lifesaver.
What is that? 40 north by 74 west. That's not Paris, that's New York.
How did you know that?
One thing I had in that tower was time, Mr. DeWitt. Time to study things like geography.
I owed money, and there's a fellow who he offered to wipe away my debt in exchange for...
Booker's clearly never seen a BioShock 1 run because Elizabeth is about to wrench him over the head. He should have known better. Yeah, this is where Elizabeth finds out that Booker is not quite the man that he has made himself out to be. Instead of taking her to Paris like she wanted, he was trying to get her back to New York. And she's not happy about that. So she knocks us out. She's going to try to make her own way to Paris, which we'll see doesn't quite work out the way she wants to. And we get to meet a whole new faction of residents in Colombia. One fun thing I like about this cutscene is if you watch the people doing the mining here on the ship in just a second, they have no caution for the other workers. There's one that's like hitting a rock right next to another's foot, like an inch away. They just do not care.
And sometimes you can just shirk OSHA? I don't know. Do they have OSHA in this world?
I would assume they do not. There's a lot of malpractice going on in Colombia.
You Fitzroy?
This is Daisy Fitzroy. She leads the rebellious Vox Populi trying to take down Comstock.
And I got perilous need.
Really? Because it sure look like old Comstock's
Which we kind of just skip past all of this here in a moment. I kind of forget how big of a part this is of the game because we've been skipping it for so long that
Comstock is the god of the white man, the rich man, the pitiless.
anytime someone brings it up, I'm like, oh yeah, that is part of the game. Right.
Yeah, I mean, casually, this is like 5 or so hours that you spend just going through a bunch of like time loops with Daisy.
And the Vox shall give her to you. But first, you must help the Vox. Down in Finkton, there's a gunsmith who can supply weapons to our cause.
But there's never an OSHA. Yep. OSHA never exists. Didn't exist in Rapture. Not here. Booker, once again, just taking a lot of damage, falling on his back from a long height and suffering no consequences. Just gets up, runs away. So this is one of the few times we actually get a guaranteed Sugar Rush plus Hellrunner's hat boost. It's got a brief moment of speed there. Whoop. It's a very small jump around the docks here. You might also catch me like swapping weapons really fast back and forth. It's just something I do out of habit. I don't know why. It's picked it up one day. So we can jump around this door, which seems slow. Or I'll just do that. Okay, never mind. We won't do it. So I only have 1 shot and 1 health left. But yeah, you can get past this cutscene by jumping all the way around. And you also get past one little tear here in a second. But yeah, if you don't quite get the jump, it's faster just to go without it. Elizabeth is still trying to make her way to Paris without us, but she's not quite that fast. Hey, balloons, it's a party.
Get away from me.
I like that it slows him down. That was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
Just that for some reason he's like, ah.
He's scared of balloons. So dying there's not like any faster, it doesn't get us past anything. But there's certain points in the run where we're really low on health and ammo. So if we die, it respawns us instantly with way more health and way more ammo. So when you're having to wait for something like in that moment, you just take a nice death and respawn with more supplies. So we got a little fight here. That guy literally never sees it coming. Just drop on his head. And pick up another infusion here. So this is the fight where a turret is actually considered one of the enemies. Just got to take out all the guards here. Using a little bit of that aimbot right here.
Told you, gave you the good one.
So this guy right here has the best gun in the game, the Volley Gun. It is just like the RPG, dealing damage to ourselves when we shoot the floor, but at a much reduced rate, so we can Hellrunner hat boost all over the place. And it is so lovely. Just to bring it up again, because I did catch myself doing that. Anytime I jump to a skyline or a skyhook of some sort, you do see me wiggle the mouse a lot. It's just to avoid a small, like, stunning animation when you first land. It's a very small time save that looks kind of funny. Take another big fall. I also believe it was, was somewhere in the Hall of Heroes where they explain the grifts and tears and how Elizabeth can bring stuff from other parallel universes into this one. So like anything that's gray, like this balloon that we're hanging off of at the moment, is brought over from a different universe in the same place. Goes into a whole big multiverse shenanigans. But it's a can of worms I will not get into. Just gonna run up here, and because we have some money to spend, we can buy a couple upgrades. We're gonna get damage boost for our RPG, and we should be able to get damage boost for our Volley Gun that we just picked up, which is super nice. And then we're gonna get some extra ammo because we have a little bit of a fight here. So we're going into Finkton proper and kind of the factory at the same time.
That would be your gun.
And by going into it, I mean we're about to skip all of it entirely.
She's good for an airship. I don't care if she's Queen of Holland.
We're just setting up some traps for enemies that are going to spawn up later. They got this Patriot, which kind of acts as like a Big Daddy in this game. It's not really the same. They're much easier, but so this is where the fun shenanigans happen. So we're gonna do a death warp. We're gonna spawn back upstairs. All right. So we're doing this to get the elevator upstairs faster. And then we're going to set our health back to 1. So once you get down to 1, you do get some invincibility frames. So if you want to double check that you're down there, you just kind of shoot a couple extra shots. Now, if Elizabeth will get out of the way. I'm going to death warp down through the floor here. So we're down here now. This is the factory. HRH boost around the corner. Into this wall. Through all of this. And we're past the entire gunsmith quest line. If I can get through this wall. Oh no. I spoke too soon. Did it actually not put me through? Oh no. The game has forsaken the run. Oh no. If you ever get into speedrunning, one thing you should absolutely never do is talk about how well the run's going. Been speedrunning for almost exactly 10 years, and I haven't learned that lesson yet. Alright, we got through it though. But we're still not done. Because we did all that, the skylines in this area aren't active, so we can't get past this gate. Which is fine, because we can just death warp past it. There's not like Vita chambers or anything like that in this game. A lot of times you just spawn exactly where you die. So if you death warp through a gate, it's like, oh hey, you died over here. All right, you gotta be over here now. So super easy way to skip. I think even optimally run, that whole section is like 15 to 20 minutes. So it's pretty big even in terms of speedrunning. That went pretty well. Coming up on another great elevator ride. You know, you get a big skip and then a little bit of downtime to recover. Doing her best SpongeGar impression.
I love how Booker pushes buttons. Just
very
very angrily.
I think he's played Doom a couple times. Yeah. So this is just where they make all of the different infusions and different parts and gears and shops and whatever else you need. You know, it's the factory. They factor things here. This is also, like I said, past all the gunsmith stuff. So Daisy Fitzroy is going to be like, you don't belong in this timeline because a whole lot of multi-universe hopping happens there to find the guns. So we're not really in the same universe as when we started, or we are, but we went through... It's a whole can of worms, all right? I'm not...
Mr. Lin?
Not going to explain it perfectly.
I was so set on getting to Paris. I didn't really think that...
You couldn't have known this would happen.
I had a role in this catastrophe. If you want to pretend that we're pure...
Oh, so yeah, Elizabeth is mad because we, like, killed the gunsmith or something happened to him. I don't quite remember, but... For the speedrun purpose, it doesn't make sense.
I saw you die, Booker. Saw it with my own eyes.
Fitzroy. Listen, I got you your guns. I'm here for my airship.
But my Booker DeWitt died for the Vox Populi. You either an imposter or a ghost. My Booker DeWitt was a hero to the cause, a story to tell your children. You.
The handymen are kind of supposed to be the actual Big Daddies of Columbia, but because you only ever, like, see 2 of them throughout the entire game, it feels like the Patriots are supposed to fill that void a little bit more. I think lore-wise, the handymen are, like, using the same technology. So there's a infusion on the floor that we're actually going to get later on. This is Undertow, which is really, really, really useful and really cool. But once again, if we pick it up here, we get a cutscene, so just going to leave it be and pick it up later. Speaking of handymen, this is a fight where we get to deal with one. We're going to set up a couple more traps. Everything spawns in the same point for the most part. So if you've gone through the fights a whole bunch, you kind of know the pattern on how to deal with enemies. Once they've spawned in, they can kind of just do whatever they want. So sometimes you'll be tracking them down if you can't deal with them right after they spawn. So the one time in the run that we're actually going to use Murder of Crows is once the handyman spawns in here. It is a very great tool for distracting him. Here it comes. The handyman's weak spot is his chest. So if you distract him with the Murder of Crows and just lay into him. It's a great way to get him down fast. Because the weapons of choice for this run are the Volley Gun and the RPG, you have to be a little careful when you're just shooting shots off. Because if the enemy is too close to you, for example, you'll just take splash damage and die. Which is a bad idea. Alright, cool. None of the enemies, I was going to call them splicers for a moment, got stuck. There is a very odd chance that a splicer gets like stuck in the building and then you can never kill him because it's impossible to reach.
She's going to kill that child. Booker, we have to do something. We have to act. We have to get in there. Come on, Booker, we've got to get out of here. Boost me up. Go to the window and distract Daisy. Go!
Is this it? Is this your movement, Daisy?
Got a little second to loot all the enemies. So you don't really need anything off these bodies, but if you can get a couple extra bucks, that's always cool.
If you want to get rid of the weed, you gotta pull it up from the root. It's the only way
Elizabeth.
Oh no, there's ketchup all over the floor.
Elizabeth. Whoa, hey, easy.
So despite seeing that horrific scene, Booker's usually pretty cheerful once you pick up this infusion.
Just what the doctor ordered.
He has different lines there, and they all just seem so out of place after you see Daisy just get stabbed to death.
I've been there.
So that maxes out our infusions. We can no longer carry any more. Just gonna pilot this. I have no idea how this is working mechanically, of how it changes the numbers, but Booker apparently does, so that's off them. Also, this thing is not centered by any means. It's like tilted to the left.
This is all they had.
I guess it's fine, but
How do I do what?
it's always driven me crazy. Like,
How do you wash away the things that you've done?
You don't. Just learn to live with it.
also wardrobe change, cut off her hair.
So the moment of truth between us. New York or Paris?
If you guys want to know more about Daisy and a lot of the backstory for Columbia itself, play at least Burial at Sea Part 2. Part 1 feeds into 2, but Part 2 explores a lot of stuff prior to the events of BioShock Infinite. It kind of links things back to the original game as well. The main story in Burial at Sea 1 and 2 isn't terribly great, but the world building it does is really cool. Also, Songbird came back. He's mad. But,
That's not it.
Certainly is.
Isn't.
we're just fine once again.
Here you are.
Booker, you've got to stop them.
No, that's the E.
No, that is certainly it.
No, it's not.
It is.
Isn't.
Is.
Isn't.
Is.
Stop it! Stop it! You don't know what you're doing!
There it is.
There is a skip for this section that is so ridiculous. I've never seen anyone like actually go for it. You have to do some like crazy jumps and wall climbs, and it saves like no time at all. It's pretty insane. I hope one day that becomes like more viable. Someone finds a cool trick for it.
Needed where we are.
So calm stuff.
Just, enemy surf out of there.
Are there others we can
Oh
use?
yeah.
Something to keep the
Hop on the
burden
loot
off our
test.
back?
Loot test.
You should ask the maestro himself.
Unfortunately, we don't have telekinesis in BioShock Infinite. They kind of realized how broken it was.
Well, at least
And I was like, yeah, we probably shouldn't just give that to them off the rip. It would be nice. So this is going to look like we do absolutely nothing except do a clever little jump here. But this skips a pretty big fight. For whatever reason, the trigger for that's right at the end of the bridge, and so you can just hop around it. Get some cake. So Elizabeth, a lot of times when you go to lockpick, is going to start talking, and is like kind of a cutscene that you just have to wait around for. But if you run far enough away, or death warp, she'll break open the door like right away. And you can just kind of run past. So maybe we just run far enough away where she's like, "Oh, I need to be with the player," and then leaves the door. So you're going to buy Charge and Undertow, as well as Undertow Aid, which is an upgrade for it. And then buy a couple more things of ammo. So we still have over $500, so as you can see, money's really not too tight in these runs, which is really nice. A lot of times you end up having to wait on like minor things as well, so this gondola is going to come down, for example, so you have time to loot. And if you just want some ammo or whatever else, it's like, hey, it's a cool little bonus. Sometimes you get here and you find like a few $100 throughout all of these containers, and it's really, really nice. Looks like we're just getting some food today. So what Undertow does, and why it's so awesome, is whenever there's a fight, you can hold it down to charge it up. And you can pull all the enemies into one spot and kind of stun them for a second. So you can just group them up together and then just spam them with rockets or Volley Gun and just take them down really, really quick. And the upgrade we got allows us to bring even more enemies to us.
There you go.
So unlike the last gondola we rode, we can't death warp off of this one. Just gotta kind of wait for it.
Just realized who those two are.
Get a little bit more background on the Lighthouse twins.
Invented the technology that allows the city to float.
Giant balloons.
Quantum particles, suspended in space-time at a fixed height.
So, not giant balloons?
But the thing is, my book said they disappeared several years ago.
I told you they'd come.
No, you didn't.
Right. I was going to tell you they'd come.
But you didn't.
But I don't.
You sure that's right?
Something tells me they're not exactly what they appear.
I was going
So a little spoiler alert. The Lighthouse twins are actually the ones that like founded the technology behind Columbia and the multiverse, universe hopping stuff. And again, a little spoiler alert, they are actually the same person from different universes.
How do you suppose they manage that?
I'll get back to you after I figure out the floating city bit.
So they're just kind of chilling, watching what happens. They've seen it all happen many times before. Another useful plasmid, or infusion that we picked up. Not infusion. Vigor. I think I've called them infusions the whole night. One of the vigors that we picked up is charge, which allows us to charge our way to an enemy. Like that. Not like super useful throughout the course of the run, but there is one moment in particular where it helps us a whole bunch, and it's really cool. One of my favorite tricks in the run. So here's a fight. You can't interact with lockpicks when you're in combat, but if we death warp past the gate, we're considered out of combat when we respawn, even though there's enemies around us. So as long as we click on the lockpick before the enemies show up again, she will lockpick it for us, which is really cool. Let's bypass that. Also, Elizabeth will almost always give you ammo right there, which is really nice. She can give you money, health, ammo, a whole bunch of supplies. It's usually whatever you're lowest on, so if you're really low on ammo, she's going to give you ammo. If you're really low on health, she'll try to give you health. If you're pretty well supplied, she'll give you money. So we very rarely get money in the run. Usually we're getting ammo, sometimes health. Sometimes salt. The magic code is 0451. Who could have guessed that was the code? Not I. So these little whistlers are kind of like alerts, and whenever they go off, Songbird is alerted to come check out what it is. They're just going to come say hi.
I like that Booker is objectively just has his head up and he's looking directly at Songbird. Like, hey, what's up?
I mean, Songbird, as you can see, has like really bad vision for whatever reason. Like, he's a machine. He could have much better vision if he
I thought
was built to.
I thought it was stated that there was a person in there. Or am I wrong?
It's from a DLC.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a Big Daddy suit, essentially.
That's what I thought. Well, it's pretty heavily implied in the main game, too, I think.
It might be on like one of the side parts. I don't know. I've forgotten the basic lore. It all kind of meshes together. Also, Elizabeth's hands are either really tiny or Booker has like the biggest hands in the world. I always love this part. It won't come to that. His hands are like 5 times the size. Now we're going into downtown Emporia, which if you've played this game, this is where the ghost of Lady Comstock resides. And it is a whole ordeal that you've played through, you probably remember, because she is the hardest part of the game. We will never see her in this run. If we do things right. There's also a handyman that spawns in here, which was actually used for a skip in this area for a long time until this method was discovered. So we can get over this gate by like walking on this invisible ledge and then aiming down sight can kind of like push us forward. You hit a sweet spot. Just ignore all the enemies trying to kill us.
This clipper's pretty wonky, even on like the best of days, just because.
Yeah, you need to hit like a certain part of the slope for it to start working, and it can be a little hard to find. That's a vigor right there that we're just not going to deal with. We don't need it for the run at all. See if we have enough money for this. because of how fast these scroll, it's a little hard to find what you're looking for. Every now and then, we are looking for the clip increase, the Volley Gun. Just helps us not have to reload as often. We can hold like 16 shots in the gun as opposed to as the 8. So our current objective is to make our way to Comstock's house to deal with him. And then usually from there, you're put on the task of dealing with the ghost of Lady Comstock, Elizabeth's mother. We will just not be partaking in any of that. So this is a situation where I just unfortunately didn't get enough health along the way. Perfect. There's multiple ways you can skip this gate. The way I'm going to show off, if I can, is if you have good enough FPS, just like the parade skip at the beginning, you can like hold into this wall and just slide. And eventually... Sorry.
I didn't even know about this.
Yeah, this is a fun one to do. So this is like FPS related, so depending on what your FPS is, it can be kind of weird. I'll always do the backup if needed. This one's just fun to show off. Oop. So you kind of get like stuck on the wall, and then you start sliding through. So however it decides let you go in. Okay, that should be good. Yeah, there's a method where you use death warping and respawning to get past the gate, which they're both about the same time, just depending on how long it takes you to clip through the wall. It's just that one's always more fun to show off because it looks so weird. All right. First try? So instead of going through this cutscene, we can use Hillrunner's hat, jump far enough, we can hit a certain trigger. This is a really tight timing. And Elizabeth's going to be in the way. Thank you for the ammo. If you want to know how you can tell if you've gotten this right, you will hear Songbird cry out into the void. Because usually this is the part where you activate the lever, and then Songbird shows up and kind of it takes Elizabeth away from you. So there we go. All it took was a reload.
Nice and easy. Yeah,
so doing that's going to warp up into the future. And we actually have Elizabeth with us, which she's not supposed to be here. She's supposed to be gone. Songbird's supposed to take her back to Comstock. And we have to go rescue her. So you hear her talking, but she's also just right behind us the whole time. Another spot we're going to take an intentional death so we get back our health and supplies. And this is where charge comes in real handy. It's one of my favorite tricks to do. It's Comstock's house. It's a level that we just completely bypass.
That is a lot harder than it looks.
Yeah, you have to be in a particular spot and like have to do just the right timing when you jump. But I've played this game a couple times.
A few times.
For those that have played this is where the most disappointing enemies in the game are.
Should be able to head downstairs and get to Elizabeth now.
These guys. they're kind of there for a moment, and then we just never see them again. Elizabeth is still with us. So we can die to get off this a little early. But we do have to wait for the Lutece twins to spawn in this rift here. You can see they're not there. If we go down this staircase before they're there, you soft lock.
What is it? Why do you ask what?
When the delicious
Get over here a little bit faster.
Lives, lived, will live.
dies, died, will die.
Yeah, this is also supposed to be like 10 plus years in the future. Which is why everything's like covered in ice and decayed. All right, Elizabeth is gone now. Sometimes she's even here, which is always fun to see President Elizabeth and Old Lady Elizabeth together.
Motion slides into its terminal stage. It took all I had left in me just to bring you here.
Elizabeth, I don't understand. I heard you screaming. I was.
Does Elizabeth's AI still help in this bug state? I believe she still can give you supplies when you're going through that section. I'm almost certain that she can. So this future version of Elizabeth is going to show us the prophesized destruction of
Flame, the mountains of man.
cities.
Say what you will about Comstock. It was a hell of a fortune teller. It wasn't the torture that broke me. It wasn't the indoctrination. It was time. Time rots everything.
One little trick you can do. So
I was coming.
it's like push right into her hitbox.
Yes, but I would find a way.
Not gonna happen today.
For your sake. Yours and hers. Here.
You kind of stand up on top of her head if you get it just right. It's another FPS related thing. It's always fun.
She'll know how to read it.
Aged 50 years and 10 years. Yep. It's definitely more than 10 years, but I've forgotten. I'm not a lore master of this game. I'm going to be honest with you guys.
1912. Before she.
Sometimes all that counts is you just go fast.
There's Elizabeth right next to us, and she's also right there. Multiverse. This can cause a problem for us here in a bit. It doesn't always happen. There's not really a great reasoning why it does, but when we go to save her, she can just despawn and cost us 40 seconds waiting for her to come back. It's great.
Maybe if I shut down this machine from upstairs.
We'll see what happens. And normally in speedruns, you want to go as fast as possible. But once we pull the second lever, if we actually try to like Hellrunner's hat boost and stuff through this, we'll go so fast that we just clip through the map and fall down into the void. So we just take it real slow here. Yeah, as the place is shaking, you just don't want to boost at all.
Elizabeth, I'll be right there.
Time to unplug Elizabeth from the Matrix.
I got you. It's okay. Okay, I'm gonna fix this. You ready?
Just do it.
If she's going to despawn, she's going to do it once she goes to retrieve her jacket from the pallet over there. Like I said, if she does despawn, it's about 40 seconds time loss that you just can't prevent. But we'll see what happens.
For you to have this.
What is it?
Just read it.
Your dream of New York happens. It's me. I'm the one who...
She's given us a way to get past Songbird. We're gonna find an airship and we'll leave Paris, Elizabeth. Remember, you wanted to go
We're
to...
not leaving. We are going to find Comstock.
Why?
You saw what he turns me into. I will not allow that.
And so what? You're going to kill him?
All right, well, let's see.
This is where you start moralizing, Booker. You forget. I know you.
I'm not going to let you kill him.
Really?
And she's still there.
Booker. What are you?
Didn't lose 40 seconds. Let's go.
Not a damn thing. Because I'm going to do it for you.
That's what I like to see.
How to find the prophet.
So the next level, we're gonna want to almost instantly do a death warp, so we're just setting that up. The reason you lose 40 seconds if she's not here is because you need this lock picked. So if she's not in the map, you just obviously can't have that happen. You just gotta wait. Just always real fun when you get like an hour and a half into your run and just lose 40 seconds for no reason.
Cage. Did she say anything about this?
No.
So now that we've made the Comstock's house, we need to make it onto the hand of the prophet, his ship. So we're gonna have to make our way out there, battling a whole lot of enemies along the way.
Sure thing.
So once she starts actually picking this lock, do a death warp, and that's gonna break her out of the little dialogue that she has. Just instantly open it, which is pretty cool. Now we need to deal with a few enemies before we can grab a ship of our own. Have a couple Patriots here and a couple regular enemies. It's not really too important how you go about killing them, as long as you just keep shooting and use a vigor or two if you so decide. I'm out of Volley Gun ammo. Okay.
Booker, catch!
Thanks.
So, a well-policed rocket can knock out all the enemies on the ship, which is pretty nice. Considering I'm out of Volley Gun ammo entirely. So there's a line mentioned and said at the very beginning of the game, the very opening of the game, that gets called back to here. And we're going to go through a couple of enemy ships to get to the Hand of Prophet, which is somewhere way off in this direction.
I don't see much use in that. No. But I'm afraid of you.
Despite us having to do these fights, there's not a whole lot going on at the moment. So if you're liking this run, you're liking my commentary, you can take this moment to go follow me on my own Twitch channel. I do different speedruns pretty much every night except for Mondays, 8 p.m. to like 2 a.m. Eastern. So if you're like, oh man, this is a great time for me to be watching runs. Well, I'm gonna hop on over there. I've actually been derusting BioShock 1 and 2, and I'll be derusting Infinite a little bit more to do some actual trilogy attempts, which is running all three back to back to back. Do some anthology attempts, which includes the DLC as well from time to time. Been running a whole bunch of other games as well. The recently released Deathloop, which is a really cool run if you haven't watched it. Really cool game too.
Yeah, Deathloop is a really, really cool run.
Ammo, take it.
Yeah, Deathloop is an amazing run.
That'll do.
So she doesn't give you ammo back for both of the guns that you have, which means she's not going to give me Volley Gun ammo unless I'm shooting Volley Gun ammo and I'm low on it, which is a really unfortunate thing that have happened. If I can find some, might be able to get some back, but the RPG's great early game when you don't have the Volley Gun, but once you get the Volley Gun, you don't really use the RPG too much, except for big chunks of damage. There we go. So the Rocketeers, you just once again just fucking Bronco up, knock him off the map. It's a lot easier to deal with than trying to use 10 volley gun shots to kill him. There's full volley gun ammo. Nice. Worked out just as I planned. I believe this is the last ship we have to deal with. Every now and then, one of the enemies will jump over to your ship, which is really obnoxious because you always lose track of them. Now we're going up to the Hand of the Prophet. There's a really crazy trick we can do here, and it requires usually about 350 FPS. You can get by with a little less. More is more beneficial. We'll see how it goes.
I wouldn't go near those lines while those pods are in place.
Comstock is at the top.
So jumping off the skyhook into this thing, you can get launched up, which is not the FPS trick, but it is important. So this is a place we're not supposed to be. And with higher FPS, we can climb this. So the higher FPS, the easier this is to climb. It's actually being pretty nice. Oh my god. From here, we can grab this skyline, which you're not supposed to be able to. And that unlocks this skyline down here, which has Patriots on it that normally you have to wait for them all to drop. And this is like 3-4 minute wait where you fight stuff. But doing deck skip, as it is known, just bypasses all that. And that was really good. Oh my god.
Yeah. Deck skip is one of the things that new runners really struggle to learn just because it's so incredibly precise.
Yeah, it's not only tough to do, but it also has that requirement of high FPS, which if you don't have a really beefy PC is usually pretty hard to hit.
Or if you just crank down the settings to like nothing.
Yeah. Usually even if you crank it down, you still run into an issue with your like CPU. So people are like trying to turn down their graphics and it's like, it's not doing anything because the CPU then bottlenecks. But we're not done doing the skips, hopefully. So we're gonna jump off of here. Hope we don't get stuck in the wall. Okay. And now we need to die while clicking on this bad boy. It's okay if I don't get it first try, as long as I die before I use the thing. Because I just respawn right here. It's pretty forgiving. Sometimes you can just skip over invincibility frames, like what happened there, if the damage lines up just right. It's kind of annoying when that happens, but this is a weird quirk of the game. Okay. So much like Hall of Heroes, I got the hard part pretty quickly, and then the easy stuff takes forever. Past the invincibility frames. If I can't get this here soon, we can just go without it. This one's not like a huge trick, huge time save. That's always cool to do. I was like showing it off. Give it like 1 or 2 more goes. We got plenty of time anyways, it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Thought I missed it again there, but yeah, if you die while opening the door, you kind of lose all collision on your player model. You don't like fall through the floor or anything. But like, for instance, you can see inside Elizabeth's head, which is kind of creepy.
Siphon.
I saw this there. I could hear you singing from above. And the machine came to life in response.
And then in my mother's grave, there was a smaller one.
We're going to use this later on to get past a locked door. But normally you have to sit through her dialogue for her to finish pick locking it.
To anywhere I wanted to go. In the tower.
It's a really great tool if you're a dentist. Just, oh, yep, that looks like a cavity right there. So this is what the entire game has been leading up to, our showdown with Comstock. Going in for a big boss fight by putting away our weapons.
Into a trap.
I need to do this.
Come here, child. Oh, come on, I don't bite. My, oh my, how you have grown.
Tell me.
So because we went through the whole trouble doing the Prophet Cabin skip there, he already has some jelly on his head. You think with all the water he could wash that out, but...
Elizabeth?
I guess he just likes it.
I've done to keep you safe.
Safe from what?
The seed of the prophet shall sit the throne and drown in flame the mountains of man. But the archangel revealed something else. Beware, prophet. Beware the false shepherd Booker DeWitt, for he shall be as a wall between her and destiny.
Why?
DeWitt, I'm a fool. I've sent mighty armies to stop you. I've rained fire on you from above. I did all of that to keep you from her, when all I needed was to tell her the truth. Ask him, child. Ask him what happened to your finger. Ask DeWitt.
She's your daughter, you son of a bitch! And you abandoned her! How was it worth it? Huh? Did you get what you wanted?
Booker.
Tell me!
Booker.
Tell me!
It is finished.
Nothing is finished!
Booker.
You locked her up for her whole life!
Booker.
You cut off her finger, and you put it on me!
Booker, stop it! You killed him.
That's the final boss, dead. Easy as that.
Easy every time.
What did he mean?
Alright, so this is where the whole setup we did before comes into play. Normally they have this exchange between them about stuff. But yeah, we can just walk through this door now. Why go through the trouble of like standing on a splicer and using telekinesis to fling yourself through a wall when you can just walk through it instead? Also, we can finally take a peek at that note that she has. It's definitely readable. Not sure what it says, but sure we're gonna find out here soon. So this is the actual final fight of the game. It's not a boss fight, it's just another wave that you gotta do. It's got a lot of Vox Populi, it's got some regular soldiers. A-G-E. It's not a word, Booker. It's a song. You can always tell when you've speedrun a game too much when you can just quote the dialogue back every time.
Oh, yeah.
Now Songbird's gonna be our friend. Woo!
I do like that his eyes indicate how mad he is at you.
Yeah, he's got mood eyes. They just changed the color of his emotion.
To protect me, will you do it? Will you do this for me? Just this one last thing.
So we get this mechanic in this fight where Songbird, every so often when he's off cooldown, can just strike down a ship for us for free, which is pretty useful. Makes things a little bit faster. So Undertow and the upgrade for Undertow become really, really handy for this fight because there are a lot of enemies and it's very easy to lose track of them when they're all jumping off their ship. That's the game telling us, hey, you have this mechanic now. So there's a health bar on the top right, which is this like siphon energy core thing. And the enemies will try to keep jumping down and attacking that. So if you ever can't find them, they're just over there shooting that. Makes it pretty easy to find them. 'Cause regular enemies, we're just going to shoot until they're dead. The cannons, Rocketeers, we're just going to, once again, just knock off the ship. It is possible for this fight the soft lock if like one of these enemies falls off the side, but falls into like the side of the Zeppelin and doesn't actually die. I shouldn't have said anything because it's probably going to happen, but it's kind of rare.
Don't curse yourself like that. Don't bring that upon us.
It's fine. We got plenty of time. The annoying thing if like this fight soft locks or the one back in the factory is you don't find out until you're past all of the other enemies and you're like, oh, there's one I can't kill. I have to do the entire fight over. So yeah, Songbird can take down the Zeppelin for us. It's really nice. And these ships always spawn in the same order in the same place.
I was trying to figure out why it kept saying W, and then I remember you play on ESDF.
Yeah, if anyone's ever curious, like, why does it say W for interact? That's why would you use forward to find stuff? I do use ESDF for movement, so everything's shifted over a key. It's another thing, like jumping on the sky rails and shaking the mouse. I just kind of always forget to explain. Just so used to it. Okay. So when we get 2 Zeppelins spawned in, that means we're right about at the end of the fight. We're going to have Songbird, once he's off cooldown, take care of one. And this is actually something a lot of people didn't realize playing through casually. You can get on these Zeppelins and take care of them yourself, which is really cool and useful for the run. So waiting for Songbird takes forever between Zeppelins. You just run in here and sabotage the engine. And that will destroy it. Songbird should be just about off cooldown, and he is.
What a throw.
And then all we really have to do from here is go down and clean up the last enemies attacking the siphon, energy thing, whatever this is. The blue light. We're like moths to a light. They just can't stay away. You can just kind of check to see if there's any more enemies. Sometimes they run up here. Sometimes you have Rocketeers that spawn on either side. Looks like we're just lucky enough not to have them this time. So now we're just waiting for the fight to like recognize that all the ships are destroyed. You get a little bit of lag, and then quest continues. Look at some more ammo. Yeah, we're just waiting on her now.
Booker, catch.
So this is going into the outro of the game. There's no more fighting or anything we gotta do, so we don't need the ammo. We can just shoot off some fireworks.
Booker, come here.
What is it?
Look, you can use the Songbird to bring the whole damn thing down.
So to catch us up on the plot, Elizabeth's powers are being weakened by the tower, which is actually a siphon, which we saw briefly when I was being a dentist a couple minutes ago. So to unlock her full power, we use Songbird, who's now on our side, to take out the rest of the tower. And that gives Elizabeth just unlimited power, and she goes a little crazy with us.
Poor Songbird.
And if you pay super close attention, you might notice that we're going to visit somewhere you might have already seen tonight. It's super subtle. I don't know how you'd ever catch this. But whoa, we're back in Rapture.
Where is he? Where is
so subtle.
I always thought it would be kind of interesting if they saw, like, if he warped us into, I don't remember who the protag from the first game is called, but if you just saw him, like, in the background running around.
Yeah, Jack, the giant super mutant baby.
Yeah.
It's not quite clear when you're coming through here because it's definitely after the fact, but then like a lot of Burial at Sea stuff is before the fact, and then they kind of... Universe hopping is always messy. I'll just say that.
Yes.
There's also a Big Daddy and Little Sister over there. So yeah, this is where you get Electric Bolt at the beginning of the game. Normally.
This way.
What do you mean it's a doorway? Where are you going?
Oh, come on. Yes, it's this way.
What Comstock said about your finger. Is there an answer here? Do you...
Down here. This is where we have to go.
Why? What is going on? Elizabeth, what do you mean this is a doorway? Probably gonna regret this.
I'll have to show you.
It's always a kind of tedious part for runners to get through because there's not really much you do from this point towards the end of the game, but it still has chances to soft lock and go wrong, and it is just such a bad feeling to lose a run right near the end to basically nothing. Just kind of going through some story beats, learning more. We also still have that Prophet Cabin skip collision bug. Looking to see through her eyes.
Look at that. Thousands of doors. Opening all at once.
So beautiful.
My God, they're beautiful.
The stars.
So yeah, we're diving into the whole multiverse, parallel dimension, timeline hopping shenanigans to unravel the story of the game.
Are you going to open it?
It's no good. Damn it. I thought once we were here, I could fully control it. I thought...
What is that?
It's a key.
Where did it come from?
It's a key.
It's always been there. I just couldn't see it.
A key definitely fits into that hole, for sure.
Deus Ex Machina. Gotta believe.
So, like the Comstock gate skip and the parade skip, you can kind of get stuck in this wall here. Go far enough, you can jump up on top, not over. Whew. And this is ever so slightly faster than taking the normal way. And it's also faster in this section to walk backwards because you can't run. But because of Fleet Feet, I now actually remember what Fleet Feet does, like an hour and a half later. It makes you move faster when you're strafing or going backwards. So when you can't sprint, moving sideways or backwards is faster. Also, Elizabeth is floating over there. It's always random when she falls, if she does. So it's kind of fun to see how far she can go, where that happens. There's a very small trick you can do here, but it is really sketchy to go for when you're not in practice. You have to walk on some more invisible walls, and if you miss, you go into the void, and you go a couple minutes back. Oh, she fell. Got close to the end. See if I can navigate my way here. So if you spam jump there, and I mean really spam jump, so much so that it's on my mouse wheel, you can get out of that cutscene and come over to this lighthouse instead. And usually in a casual playthrough, it doesn't matter which one you go through. But if you break out of one and you come over to the other, you get to skip a bit of dialogue when dealing with this preacher. You overlap some audio, which is always funny to hear.
Right after Wounded Knee. I was looking for... Yes.
Do you want to clean the slate, leave behind all you were before, and be born again?
No, I don't want to.
Yes. Jesus!
This goes back and forth between no and yes. No, I don't want to. Yes. No.
Stop it! Get off me! Get off!
You didn't go through with
You
it.
think a dunk in the river's gonna change the things I've done? Let's get out of here. Hey, these doors of yours, they're all tears, right? We'll open one up. Open one up to Paris. I want to be shut of all this.
Not until we find Comstock.
Comstock's dead!
No. He was here. This way.
Basically summarize what's happening in the story. I don't want to explain it beat for beat because it's a whole mess. Comstock is still alive in the multiverse. So we're trying to track down the last remaining bits of Comstock, but we're also like going through Booker's past, kind of unraveling everything. But no one cares about that. Just look at this doorknob. Look how perfectly textured this doorknob is. It's so high detailed. Oh my god. I want to remaster just for this bad boy. Oh yeah.
You don't leave this room.
Like, look how low quality this baby is versus this doorknob. It's just,
Bring us the girl
oh man.
and wipe away the debt.
Go ahead.
No.
The baby always just has such like uncanny valley eyes. Extremely not a fan.
I can see all the doors.
Well, it's one of those quote unquote subtle nods towards the twist. It's like, hey, if you haven't figured it out yet, here you go. It's gonna happen. Oh, it's gonna happen. So now we're back on the boat at the very beginning of the game.
There was no baby. The deal was I go to Columbia to get you.
Booker, you're bleeding.
Oh. I remember.
Now we've upset him.
I don't expect this next bit will do much for his mood.
Come on.
I'll be honest, I never really understood this ending of the game.
Comstock's dead. We can just go on with
This-
our lives. You don't need to.
You mean
With all the multiverse stuff, it never quite made sense to me.
he is alive in a million.
Yeah, it's on a surface level, like much multiverse time hopping stuff, like somewhat makes sense, and then you start thinking about it, and you're like, well, there's some paradoxes and plot holes here and there.
Yeah. If I didn't think about it, I'd be much happier.
Right. Yeah, this is where everything clicks together, or if you haven't already pieced it together, then it should. So the baby, shocker, is Elizabeth. She is the daughter of Booker. BioShock is all about abusive dads, and just really bad dads. Also, the doorknob's now on the right side, different universe.
Anna's gone. You shared this room with your regret.
And so Comstock in his universe couldn't have a child because of Lady Comstock.
Offered you a chance.
So instead of like adopting or doing whatever, he decided to use the Lutesses, who already knew about multiverse hopping, to then take Elizabeth from a different universe, which is the one that we're from. And in the process, her pinky gets lopped off, and because she exists in two different dimensions, she then has the power to open rifts to different dimensions. I guess that's how superpowers work. That's how she has her powers, and her pinky's gone.
Wipe away the debt. He's the girl.
Starting to put the story together.
Wipe away the debt.
He's manufacturing.
Well, the brain adapts.
He's the girl.
Booker, wake up. Booker, wake up. This is where it's
So one more boat ride, and all done.
To your credit, you did try to weasel out of the deal.
This is all Comstock's fault.
There's a lot more nitty-gritty stuff
Killed him before.
to the story, but I'm sure there's plenty of videos and
How would one know how far back
explanations out there that could explain it much better than I could.
To when he was born. And I'll smother this son of a bitch in his crib.
I'm sure there's some kind of big, long explanation video by someone far smarter than us.
Oh, yeah. All right, and then time's coming up in 3, 2, 1, time.
Are you sure?
A bit more cutscene to go through. We get to see how things truly end. Well, until the DLCs. Spoilers. So everything goes back to Comstock after the Battle of Wounded Knee, which gets referenced like Hall of Heroes.
Of course it is. I remember.
Booker had the choice to either get baptized or not, and depending on which one he takes in the universe that he's in, either he remains Booker or he turns into Comstock and founds Rapture, or not Rapture, Columbia.
It all has to end. To have never
So these are different universe hopping Elizabeth.
Smother. Before the choice is made. Before you are reborn.
What name will you take, my son?
He's Zachary Comstock. He's Booker DeWitt.
Well, got anything to promote?
Yeah, if you guys like this run, I mentioned it just a bit ago, but if you weren't here or didn't hear, I have been derusting the BioShock 1 and 2 runs, learning all the crazy new strats. So if you like those, doing plenty of those runs over on my channel. I stream every night, except for Mondays, 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, usually. I have plenty of BioShock runs and another Infinite run that I did for a GDQ a while back. If you're looking for more of these, or plenty of other FPS horror puzzle games, have all that good stuff. But yeah, on like Friday, we're going to try to do a BioShock trilogy run, which is all 3 games back to back to back. So you can see this again up there. And who knows, we might throw in some DLCs from time to time. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for having me on Aimbot. Thanks for providing that sick Aimbot that helped me so much throughout the run. It's great. I'm going to be using that in every run from here on. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out in chat. You guys are awesome. If you like the content, also sub here on GDQ to help them out, keep things going.